personality into the story. And it's really not only just a story about a Holocaust survivor, but the child of a Holocaust survivor as well. Okay. And so, click. This is the recording that Artie made with his father. So any of these little voices are his father. He's currently dead, so this is really all that he has. Click. Then when I came out from the hospital, right away she started again, that I will change my will. Please pop the tapes on. Let's continue. I was still so sick and tired, and to have peace, only I agreed to make it legal. She brought right to my bed a notary. Let's get back to Auschwitz. $15 she charged to come. If she waited only a week until I was stronger, I'd go to the bank and take a notary for only a quarter. Enough! Tell me about Auschwitz. You were telling me how your capo tried to get you work as a tinsmith? Yeah, every day I worked there, right outside from the camp. The chief of the Chinmen, it was a Russian named Yiddle. Like little, when I say it funny. So Yiddle. Bah, you're no tinsmith, you can't even cut it right. But this is how I've always does it. I've only been a tinsmith for a few years. If you show me how you want to cut, I can learn quickly. Ha, you never did an honest day's work in your whole life, Spiegelman. I know all about you. I don't know where he heard stories about me. You owned big factories and exploited your workers, you dirty capitalist. He was a communist, this Yiddle. Phuh, they send Drek like you here when they send real tinmen up the chimney. Watch out, I've got my eye on you. I was so afraid he could really do me something. Again, more prisoners treating other prisoners like garbage. Okay, it's not this kind of gang mentality that even happens in normal prisons. Okay, just because you're actually it's very similar. Just because you're all prisoners and you are both Jewish means nothing. It's every man for himself. With the other boys, I got along fine. Don't you worry. You just have to know how to handle Yiddle. Bring him a few eggs, some butter or cheese. You'll see. He'll sing a different tune. Number 6 on your packet. Sorry, almost forgot. Describe the immediate conflict that exists between Vladek and Yiddle. So the immediate conflict is that Yiddle does not like who Vladek is as a person, calls him a capitalist. So he's very against him. And then number 7, we're looking into how they kind of make friends with one another. And where do I get all this food? Just keep your eyes open. You can organize things with the Poles here. Poles from nearby they hire to work also here. Not prisoners, but specialist building workers. Psst. I can get you a fine gold watch for a pound of sausage and 6 eggs. Agreed. They had nothing, only food from their farms. They were happy to make exchanges. The head guy from the Auschwitz laundry was a fine fellow, what knew well my family before the war. From him, I got civilian clothes to smuggle out below my uniform. I was so thin, the guards didn't see if I wore extra. Here, Yiddle, I've got a big piece of cheese for you. A gift. Very nice, Spiegelman. And what else do you have there? A loaf of bread? You're a rich man. Wait, I need that to pay off the guy who helped me organize the cheese. He was so greedy, Yiddle. He wanted I risk only for him. Everything. I too had to eat. Everybody was so hungry, always. We didn't know even what we were doing. In the morning for breakfast, we got only a bitter drink made from roots. I woke up before everyone to have time to find the toilet and find still some time. I woke up before everybody to have time to the toilet and find still some tea left. One time a day, they gave us soup from turnips. To stand near the first of the line was no good. You only got water. Mix it, mix it. Near the end was better. Solid things to the bottom floated. But too far to the end, it was also no good, because many times it could be no more soup. This is your answer for question number 8. What's the ideal part in the line? So, right here. Near the end, but not too far to the end. Okay? And one time each day, they gave us a small bread, crunchy like glass. The flour they mixed with sawdust together. We got one little brick of this that had to last all day. Most gobbled it right away, but always I saved a half for later. And in the evening, we got a spoiled cheese or jam. If we were lucky, a couple times a week, we got a sausage, big like two of my fingers. Only this much we got. If you ate how they gave you, it was just enough to die more slowly. Pause right here. Number 9. It says, explain the last panel on the bottom of page 49. What are two opposites here? And what does it show? Okay, so this panel right here. We have two opposite things going on, okay? We have this one and then this 2, okay? What's interesting about this book that I like so much is that not only is it telling you the story, but it's also illustrating how things were. So we have people here eating right next to dead bodies, okay, that obviously didn't eat enough. And we have this box here that says, if you ate how they gave you, it was just enough to die more slowly. So really, it was all about this idea of luck. Art mentions it in the beginning that a lot of surviving in Auschwitz was luck. Figuring out where to stand in line, saving part of your bread, organizing other food to get you by. Very much this was where you were at. Okay, so what does this show us? It shows that in the same situation, you have this is called a juxtaposition. It's when two things are next to each other that are complete opposite. So we have people eating and surviving, and then dead people. Okay, and it's doing that to show kind of how uncertain everything is. You really don't know from one day to the next, and that's why it's all about luck. Okay, top page 50. Each morning and evening, they made an appel. They counted the live ones and the dead ones to see if anyone was missing. We stood sometimes the whole night while they counted again and again. On our appels, it was one old guy there, always he was complaining. I don't belong here with all these Yids and Polacks. I'm a German like you. I have medals from Kaiser. My son is a German soldier. Only they hit him and they laughed. Was he really German? Who knows? It was German prisoners also, but for the Germans, this guy was Jewish. On one appel, he didn't stand so straight, and a guard dragged him away. I heard him, he pushed him down, and he jumped hard on his neck. Or they sent him to the gas. I don't remember. But they finished him, and he never any more complained. What's also interesting about this story is, again, when we think of Jewish people, we think of them as white people. Because they usually are white. It's very rare to find a Jewish person in Europe that is not white. Now, German people are also white. And what's interesting is Polish people, who are the pigs up here, okay, also white. So this idea that Spiegelman, the author, draws these different types of people as different animals is very important. Because again, it's not the same as slavery in the United States or even slavery throughout the world, where they stole different types of people because of how they looked. You can't really control the way you look. You know, this was about religion and where you were from. And it made it, Hitler also did a lot of things to kind of justify who was the enemy to the German people. And again, they're depicted as mice here or pigs, but there's really no determining factor other than how Spiegelman draws them here. Okay, 51. So this is a great depiction of how the camp looks and where everything is. These next few questions, we're going to be talking about Art's mother. We don't really talk about her much. She commits suicide before this book is written, which is something that Artie has to deal with a lot. Mala, who left Vladik, is technically his stepmother, but he feels a lot of guilt. about his mother dying. His mother's name is Anja. So keep that in mind that when they're talking about Anja in this next section, it's about Artie's mother. Tell me about Mom. Were you in touch with her in Auschwitz? Yeah. In the beginning, I knew only her number and that she was there in Birkenau. This I found out by workers from Birkenau what passed where I was teaching English. Where was Birkenau? The camp was apart from Auschwitz. It was maybe 2 miles to go from Auschwitz to Birkenau. There it was much more big. In Auschwitz, we had say 20,000 prisoners. In Birkenau, there was at least 5 times so many. In Auschwitz, it was a camp where they gave you to work so they didn't finish you off. Birkenau was even more bad. It was 800 people in a building made for 50 horses. There, it was just a death place, and Jews waiting for gas. And there it was Anja. So there's 2 sections. Auschwitz 1, which is where Vladek was stationed. Then a 2-mile walk to Auschwitz 2 in Birkenau. And that is where Artie's mother was. So again, these weren't small camps. They spanned huge stretches of land. And they often were near neighboring towns as well, which we'll get into that in future weeks. Come, it's time now, we'll hurry for lunch, home to the bungalow. So were you actually in touch with Anja and Birkenau? Yeah, for Mansi I had a real contact with Mother, until later I could bring Anja to, wait, who's Mansi? This is question number 11. She was a Hungarian, Mansi, who worked sometimes there. Beautiful, a tall blonde girl and clever. Rest behind that stack of wood. I'll warn you if a guard comes close. She had a lover, I heard later, an SS man. He got for her a good position over 10 or 12 other girls from Birkenau. I'm over on this side right here. Psst, miss, up here. I see how kind you are. Help me, please. Huh? What do you want? Nothing for me, but I'm afraid for my wife in Birkenau. Can you find out if she's still alive? I told her Anja's name and number. I've saved some food. I can help pay for her. I can pay for your help. Keep your food. We'll be working here again in a few days. I'll see what I can find out. So again, Mansi is willing to help Vladek even without payment, which is important. Every day I looked. 4 days later, I saw her. I met a woman named Anja from Sashwick. She's very frail. She spoke over to one of her workers. I spoke only to my tin so no one will notice. Someone told her that her husband is still alive, and she began sobbing with joy. I heard this, and I started also crying a little. And Mansi, she too started crying. A few days after Mansi again came there, I put some garbage under a rock near the doorway. She brought me a letter, a real letter from Anja. I miss you, she wrote to me. Each day I think to run into the electric wires and finish everything. But to know you are alive, it gives me still to hope. She told me her capo was very mean on her and gave her work Anja couldn't do, like to run from the kitchens with the big cans of soup. Even for me, such cans were heavy, and for Anja, she was so small it was impossible. She couldn't hold well her end, always she slept. Oops, sorry, peeps. The capo beat Anja very hard, but kept her to this job. And if Anja spilled over all from the soup, then nobody got what to eat, especially Anja. I wrote to her, I think of you always, and sent with Mansi 2 pieces of bread. If the SS would see she is taking food into the camp right away, they would kill her, but she always took. So she said, if a couple is loving each other so much, I must help however I can. So Mansi is a very wonderful person. Make sure that you write that into your packet about who she is and her role in the story. Anja we know she committed suicide. And again, you don't just commit suicide out of nowhere. She is depressed. She had bouts of depression before as well. So she's very frail. She even admits to Vladek that she wants to kill herself. So the fact that Mansi is there helping and kind of making the transition for Anja easier is very important, because without Anja, we wouldn't have Artie. They got back together after the war and then had Artie. So very important.